This first episode was an excellent start to the series, and it's definitely one that I am super stoked to get into and review.
Akame ga Kill, Episode 1, Kill the Darkness.
Wow. That is really about all that I could, if I had to summarize this episode of this series in one word, it would just be wow. Well, hello, my brothers and sisters of the Nerd Nation. I, as always, am Jim, here to bring you the first in, well, you know, I hope to be many reviews of the new anime, Akame ga Kill. Now, this was actually recommended to me by several of you months ago, and I saw some previews for it and read up a little bit on it, and there was obviously a lot of hype, and let me tell you, the hype is real. It is good. It really is good. I mean, just immediately within, I don't know what the overarching story is going to be, because again, I've only watched the one episode of it now, but just in the first minute or two, you've got the main character, or what I presume is going to be one of the main characters, this Tatsumi, and he's on his way to the capital city, which he finds out is corrupt and terrible and everything else. But anyway, the bottom line is that he winds up encountering, within the first couple minutes, this giant earth dragon, right? And, lops one of its claws off. Obviously, the censorship on this one, there's not much of it because it is bloody, and it is gory, and it is great. It really is. I mean, he slices and dices this thing up into itty-bitty little pieces, and this is all in the first 2 minutes before the opening song and the opening credits roll, right? So, anyway, we wind up finding out that, he does find out from the villagers that he saved that his dreams of fame and fortune in the capital city, may not be all it's cracked up to be, because there's a lot of corruption, there's a lot of evil, there's monsters within the city, and he says, "What are you, monsters?" And he's referring to probably the Earth Dragon, And he said, "No, it's people, but they have the hearts of monsters, So basically, just the cruelty of probably the overarching government, or however society dictates within that particular city. Obviously, if you have a corrupt person up at the top, a king, a queen, an emperor, or something along those lines, it's just going to kind of trickle on down, and it's going to have that ripple effect. So, but anyway, he winds up going and pretty quickly as he's kind of traveling through the city, Tatsumi, he winds up running into this, first he's trying to sign up with the military, and just because of food shortages and everything else, basically unemployment's at a high, so everybody's trying to join the military, probably just for food, shelter, maybe a little bit of money. And he winds up getting kind of thrown out on his ass, because immediately he thinks that he should be promoted to the rank of commander because of his skill set that he has, And the dude's good with a sword, don't get me wrong. But anyway, he winds up going and getting thrown out of the place, and comes upon this woman, this beautiful woman that he can only look at her boobs, pretty much, her chest, and she's wearing what's the equivalent of a strapless bra. For any of the female viewers out there, you'll know what I'm talking about, or any of the male viewers that have been in a relationship for a while, girlfriend or wife, or whatever the case may be. But so she's half naked and winds up going and actually swindling him out of all of his money. Says, "Oh, I have a contact and this and that," and she goes and says here, and he says, "Oh," she says, "but it costs money." And pulls out this bag of money and says, "Will this be enough? This is what I've collected from defeating monsters." She says, "Oh yeah, don't worry about it. I'll go talk to my contact. Wait for me here. I'll be back in a little bit." And she just leaves him there, So he's sitting out on the street. The last bit of money he had, he used to pay for his meal. Sitting out on the street, and he sits down and leans against a building and figures, hey, it'd be as good a place as any to sleep, And all of a sudden, this carriage pulls by, and this young girl gets out with a couple of her guards. Her name is Arya, and she invites him to. It appears that she's this very kind-hearted person, that likes to help, the hapless street bums, because that's what she assumes he is. And she invites him back to her place, and they live in this nice mansion, I guess you would say. So over the next, I'm assuming, day or two or whatever, she kind of gives the rundown of, he kind of meets and greets with everybody and talks about leaving his village, having some friends with him. They talk about how they're going to put out the word and see if they can find these other people that he was supposed to meet up with, that were friends of his. And all seems very well, but like anything, the lipstick eventually comes off the pig. We also wind up seeing some wanted posters, reward posters around the town, and one of them is for this group called Night Raid, and apparently this group attacks people and kills or robs them or whatever at night, right? And that's obviously where they get the name Night Raid. So later on that night, so the first half of the episode, I would say, I was probably like, okay, yeah, this is cool. It's got some promise, right? The second half, though, just insane. The amount of action, the amount of the blood, the gore, just absolutely wonderful. What winds up happening is Tatsumi wakes up, right? And he wakes up and somebody is actually in the mansion, assassins. It's actually this night raid group. And, you wind up seeing somebody get cut clear in half. This group, led by Akame, I guess. I'm assuming she's this dark-haired girl. And, of course, it's called Akame Got Killed. So I don't know if she's one of the main characters, the main proponent, main protagonist. I don't know. But anyway, they're cutting down these guards left and right, and he's trying. Tatsumi wants to try to protect Arya, so he winds up finding her on her way to the storehouse on their property with this guard that's trying to protect her. And anyway, and Akame winds up coming and going right for the girl. Basically, he's like a non-target and just jumps over him and tries to go right for the girl, takes out the guard and what have you. Well, anyway, Tatsumi is trying to protect her, and he's like, slow down, wait, chill. And all of a sudden, who appears but the blonde boobs chick that swindled him earlier out of the money? And I think her name is Leon. And she goes and says, it says to Akame, just chill for a second. I owe this boy at least that, right? So they figure at least they'll give an explanation, because he's like, why would you kill innocent people and harm innocent people, right? She goes, and this is where the lipstick comes off the pig. She goes and says, well, open up this storeroom, right? They open up the storeroom, and you look inside, and it looks like a fucking torture slaughterhouse, man. Like something out of, some kind of nightmarish movie, some kind of Saw or something like that. You get people hanging and bloodied, beaten. And like I said, this does not take any shortcuts, at least so far anyway, as far as the censorship goes in the blood. It's there, there's a couple of times where I was like, man, I shouldn't have watched this on an empty stomach, It was just terrible like that. Just, brutal. He winds up going and finding one of his friends, Seo, who actually was hanging there, and she had been tortured and beaten to death. And the girl, Arya, she's proclaiming that, I didn't know, this is my parent. And what happens is the night raid people are explaining they're not innocent. They lure people from the countryside in, and then they torture them to death, right? So Arya claims she has no involvement in anything. All of a sudden, he sees his other buddy, right? Setsuyo or Setoyo, I forget his name. And he's like, no, and she tortured Sayo and everything else. And all of a sudden, this little chick just flips, and she's like just complete crazy, like narcissistic, like, yeah, but why shouldn't I be able to just grab people from the country and torture them to death? She had better hair than I did. And she just completely flips, right? And it's great because they're going to go and, the night raid people, obviously, Akame, Leon's like, okay, now you can kill him. And he's like, oh, no, wait, I'll do it. Without a hesitation or a thought, man, just pulls his sword out, just cuts her down, So anyway, what winds up happening at the end of the episode is night raid. Leon basically says, thunderstorms again? Jesus, criminy. Anyway, Leon winds up going and saying, hey, listen, we're going to take this guy in, and we are going to, he's going to become one of us, And you haven't really been introduced to any of the other characters yet, but boy, what a great way to start out a series. What a great way to start out an episode. Whatever the overarching plot is going to be, I don't know. We find out, though, that, and this was told by one of the guards, about midway through the episode, one of Arya's guards told Tatsumi that the Emperor is this kid that's being controlled by this, basically by, I forget what the guy's name is, but more like the Chancellor or something like that, right? And it's pretty much, he's pulling his strings like a puppet, and that's why everything's corrupt and the land is in such, disarray and whatnot. Now, whether that's the truth or not, I don't know. That'll remain to be seen. I know that I'm very hopeful for it, and I also know that because of my unexpected and unfortunate hiatus being gone for 6-7 weeks, I wasn't able to start this immediately when it came out. So what I am going to do is I'm going to finish this one up over here, and then certainly go and jump right on the next one, and the next one, and the next one, so I can try to get caught up, by next week's episode if I can. So my chapter question, or episode question, I guess you would call it, for you brothers and sisters. I've heard some things, I've read some things. Supposedly this is going to be adapted into a 24 episode series, or at least this season's going to be. I understand that there is a manga as well, and what I would like to know is, and try to stay spoiler free as much as you can if there were some big things omitted that I'll see down the road, but my question is, for those of you that have read the manga, how well did they do adapting the manga, the first chapter or two of the manga, to the actual anime? Leave your answer to that question in the comments down below. Feel free to hit the thumbs up, the like button if you should think that I deserve it, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. We will look forward to catching all of you in the next one, Nation.
Thanks for watching. We will see you in the next one. Comment and like and subscribe.